Okay, let's see what we can see. Looks like we're live. Let's pop out our chat. There's Josh and JT. Hey JT, thanks for dropping by, brother. And there's Adrian, all the way from the UK. And Neil. Man, let me get situated here. JT is he makes coin rings like I do, and he makes the more expensive ones than I do. I make the cheap ones. He makes the more expensive ones, but he has a channel. And there's the other JT. We got two JTs today. Oh. You can tell which one makes the coin rings because it's in the name. But if any of y'all want a real nice silver coin ring, go to his website, and you can custom order it. He will custom make it just for you, and he does a lot of the precious metals. He's on that end of the spectrum, where I'm on the clad rings out of normal coins. I'm on that spectrum. That's the lower, inexpensive spectrum, whereas he will fix you right up with a silver, gold. He'll fix you up. And there's Digital Gold. How you doing, buddy? Oh, I didn't get my little cheat sheet out yet today. But just go to his website. It's kind of in the name. You can type that in and get the find it, and he'll fix you right up. In fact, he does mainly custom orders. He does those more than me. I really don't like doing custom orders. I'll do them if it's a real good customer that has bought other rings or other things from me. I'll do a custom order, but I'm not. That's just not my thing. Whereas he is into that side of it. He's got a website and all that kind of stuff, and he's into the custom deal, where I'm into the Saturday morning farmers market deal. Now we got some. Oh yeah, yeah, I do, Josh. In fact, I had been vaping it lately, a bunch, and I just cleaned it up and put it back on the shelf. It's the I think the 22. What did I do with it? Let me find it. No, that's the plus. Well, I can't lay my hands on it right at the moment, but I do got one. I just recently vaping it. The one I grabbed here is this. This is the Plus K-Fun plus, but it's not a prime. But I do have the prime, and I'm thinking it's 22, the 22 or 23 millimeter version, and it is a clone. Was a clone. I had to do a little work to it. Uh, usually about 1.5 is what I do. 1.5 browns. And I know that's for sure what I do on this this V3 Mini, and it's identical pretty much on the insides when it comes to that area of it. And I go 1.5. Well, no, I don't. Do I go? Let me think. Let me just, I'll crank it up and we'll crank it in and we'll see what I got here. Okay. So I just did this one the other day, and guess what? There we go. All right. So let's see. So that's a half, a full, yeah, about 1.5, 1.25. Is what I do. One of the things I don't like about these are that one, just like this, I rewicked this yesterday, day before. I hadn't used it since. You know, and the last thing you do, you fill it up, and you're supposed to open your juice flow. Well, I had forgotten. This one was closed off tighter than a web. You know, that's the only thing I don't like about those. Those I will forget. When you get old, you get forgetful, and you forget your name sometimes. But that's one of the cons on those to me is I'll forget to turn the juice flow back on. So I have done it several times on those. But I go about 1.5 rounds. It's between 1.25 rounds, 1.5 rounds. Now, you know, some of those, especially the clones, the clone I had, they did a piss poor job of drilling the feed holes down at the bottom of the wick chamber. They drilled it with a real dull bit. And it pushed the metal out instead of cutting it, and I had to go in there and clean that up. There was quite a bit of flash on the. If you're not a machinist, it's hard to understand. You know, there was quite a bit of what I call flash on the opposite side of the holes, and I had to go in there and clean that up. But it was a clone, you know. It was a long time ago, back in the day. And it was a no-name clone. It wasn't an SXK or anything like that. It was no-name. But check those, and they were actually drilled. I remember right. It's been quite a while ago. I think they were a tad smaller than what they should have been, and I think I might have even drilled them out a little bit. Well, let's see. I don't know if it's still in this one. I think I don't know. Let's see. I can tell you what I was running in this one. And it's the same deck. Let me go hit that up close camera. Light on the subject here. We'll look at it and see. So I left the coil in it. It looks like some kind of Clapton. It was in the, you get to get on camera. I don't know. Focus. You want it to focus, don't focus. That's too many wraps too. It worked, but that's too many reps. Hold on a second. There we go. Yeah, we can see what we're doing. Oh, that's about a looks like about a 2.5, I think 2.5 millimeter ID, and that's too many reps. I should have stopped at what, about 5? That's about one too many reps, I think. Pretty old raggedy looking coil too. I need to just throw it away and to go on and get something else. But for the K-Fun X, I'm running an MTL Clapton wire. I'm sure it's 2.5. It's about probably 5 reps, maybe, or maybe even 6, but 5 to 6 reps, 2.5. But I got that one cut way down on the airflow, and so it's real mouth to lung, this one here. Sure does work good too. I'd recommend get you one of these clones here, the X. I'd recommend them, I believe, over any other. If you're doing MTL, because, and that's wide open, and that's a fairly medium tight MTL, and it's wide open on the air. So I would, if that's what you're looking for. Now, if I remember right, my Prime, I think it's got a little more airflow, maybe just a hair more airflow than this X does, wide open. But it's still, once you get into where the ones with the screws, they're not just wide open, even when they're fully open. It's still almost an MTL to me. But yeah, definitely. I mean, they'll work on round wire, but just to me, they work a little better on an MTL Clapton wire. It's been so long since I wicked this one. I honestly don't remember if it was some wire I made or if it was some of the store-bought MTL Clapton. The resistance on this one, JT, is, you would ask that, wouldn't you? 0.59. So 0.6. And that's where I kind of I like my stuff, even my other stuff, if I've got the selection available, I try to run 0.6, 0.7. I prefer it there. Now, I do have some right now that I'm running at 0.4 and 0.5, but it's simply because the wire I wanted to use was it was some of the stuff I made myself. In fact, I had to make some more of it because it worked so well. I used it all up, so I had to make some more this morning. But it's a 26 gauge nichrome with 0.5 flat nichrome wrapped around it. So it's like a Clapton, but it's wrapped with flat wire, not round wire. And that worked so well for me that as far as flavor and vape, that's all I use at the moment. And I ran out. I had to make some more this morning. But I did take, if you've only got space for like maybe 5 wraps in some of these smaller RTAs, then that gets you down at the 0.4 or 0.39 ohm deal. And I mean, it's okay, but I just prefer mine up a little bit higher. And it's just a personal preference, so I can do a more of a relaxed vape. So this morning I made some out of 27 gauge. The center wire is 27 gauge nichrome, so I could get bump the resistance up just a hair, just a hair. The store-bought wire does, Adrian, I agree with you. And even some of the people, you know, some people are convinced that they got to wrap their Claptons in 40 gauge nichrome. And, you know, it's like trying to wrap something with hair, which I don't have any of, you know, and you just look at it wrong and the wire breaks or you mess it up or, you know, so, you know, but I've got some good, some good vape out of you know, let's say a 28 wrapped with 34 or 36, 32 along in there. You know, it doesn't have to be ultra fine. That outside wrap doesn't have to be ultra fine to get you a good vape. And if you wrap it with a little heftier wire, then it doesn't tear up as easy, you know. But Josh, if you do your own stuff, get you some of that. In fact, I'm out of it. I got to order some more as soon as they go on sale. As soon as they send me a sale again. But just try, if you do your own, try making just a simple Clapton and use this for the outer wrap. But it's 0.5 times 0.01 millimeter, nichrome 80 flat. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. No, all mine are contacts. If I can make it a contact coil, I'll make it a contact coil. Oh, I see what you were saying. You weren't asking. You were correcting the auto spell. Okay. Yeah, Adrian. I think Adrian is a temperature control guy. So he likes the stainless steel. I do too if I'm gonna do temperature control, but I very seldom do that. But JT, I take a relaxed vape. I'm not in no hurry. I don't run a lot of wattage, and you know, I don't have to get in no hurry to take the vape. You know, I don't have to do a Vic. You know, I don't have to do that. Well, Mongo, I hope she gets better, brother. Well, Neil, now you got to surely you ordered the K-Fun RBA Boral thing, right? Surely you ordered that. I gotta put some batteries in this. They're getting low. I was tempted. I was real tempted. And then I was real tempted, and then I thought, you got what, at least 3 or 4 good K-Fun tanks that, work phenomenally well. What the hell do you, somebody's gonna have to give me a good reason that I need a K-Fun deck in a Boro tank. They're gonna have to give me a real good reason for that before I go down that road. No, that's way too big. I think that's way too big, Josh. You need a single core Clapton. Doesn't matter, you can go, a little bigger on your outside wire wrap, but yeah, just a single core for it. Well, Andrew, it's all in what you like. If you're happy, I'm happy. It's that simple. It really is. Well, that's true, Neil. That's true. It's going to be it ain't even going to be really a restricted direct lung vape. If it's got the same air pin, and I'm pretty sure it probably does, the same setup, uh, you know. Well, all right. Yeah, you can still, all my juice is basically MTL juice. Uh, yeah, I have to, if I put it in a dual tank or whatever, I mean, I can vape it. I don't, you know, uh, cough or anything, but it's like one hit and hey, you feel it. So, yeah, the other day when I was playing around with that thing I drug down here a few shows ago, this, what's it called? Limitless. Yeah, this Limitless tank. Uh, and I put a couple of decent coils in it, and I need to revamp them because uh, I wasn't real happy with it. Anyhow, I had some store-bought juice that I hadn't upped the nick level on yet, so I put that in there so I could actually do direct long, you know, uh, hits and compare, you might say. You like the BXR? Well, that's good. I don't remember I probably saw a video on it, but I don't remember it because I'm I'm staying out of that rabbit hole at the moment. And I ordered me the other day, talking about ordering stuff. Of course, I got those two I told you about last week coming, and I ordered the Berserker Mini V3 uh, yesterday or day before. Uh, I got it coming. But then y'all piqued my interest. I'm gonna write it down and look at it. I'm assuming that's is that an RBA for a Boro, or is that a real tank? I'm going to get me a couple of more mods as soon as I find one that I think is reasonable. Dual battery ones. And I don't care if it's 18 or 21, either way. Oh, it's a Boro mod. Okay. Seems to be a lot of them out there nowadays. If I was into Boros, I'd probably have a couple of them. I just, I'm like I say, I'm doing my best to stay out of that rabbit hole. I said on the last show I was going to order some new one shots, and luckily the 6-foot 2x4 I got strapped to my ass kept me from falling in that rabbit hole. Because I got over on Jungle Flavor, and man, ooh, that looks click. Ooh, yeah, that looks good. Click, 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 click. And got down to the end, hell, it was like $70. And I said, whoa, wait a minute. That's when the 2x4 hung on the top of the rabbit hole. And I said, well, wait. And I waited just a little bit, and I waited too long, and I lost the sale that they were having at the time, because that's what got me going. You know, you get an email and it's, you know, it was, I don't know, 15% off or some shit thing, you know, but it was limited time only, you know. So anyhow, I missed the window. So that gave me an excuse to, whoa, let's back up. Wait a minute. Well, Neil, I don't know that the Mini, although I don't know for sure, but I think it's more MTL geared that way. The regular one, the V3, which has been out for a while now, is more RDL and direct long, the way I understand it. But I think the Mini is geared a little more toward MTL. Well, that's not too bad a price. Did it come with a tank of some sort? I'm assuming it didn't come with an RBA, but it did at least come with a tank. And Adrian, I can sympathize with you on that, because I've got a particular flavor. Like I say, y'all know me. I got a particular flavor that only works in a pod and only works for me with a 1 ohm Caliburn coil. And with that setup, it's wonderful. Everything, and I've tried it in everything else. It's not near as good. So I do understand what you're saying. No, it didn't come with a tank. See, that's, you know, there are some, I think they end up calling them AIOs, but, you know, there are some deals, you know, back in the day, like that old Pulse that cracked all to hell and back, you know, come with tanks, come with RBAs and this, that, and another. Come with a whole bunch of shit in the box. You know, I can go along with that, but, you know, time you add up the mod and a tank, if let's say you don't have any of that stuff, you know, and the mod, the tank, and an RBA, well, you done spent a little bit of money there. That's just me, you know. I'm tight. I squeak when I walk. I keep a can of WD-40 in my back pocket. So when the Karens start bitching at me because I'm squeaking, I squirt a little WD-40. Now I do have, what do I need to do here? I do have a kind of, sort of retro vape today. And I don't know what possessed me to do this, but I did it, and it worked. And now, you know, it's back to, I got 3 tanks coming, and I need another tank like I need a hole in the head. Anyhow, the other day I was digging for something, and that's something I really need to do. I need to reorganize my vape, my shelves. I need to throw away a bunch of damn flavorings that I ain't used in 10 years and ain't never going to use. And I really got to reorganize my vape shelves. Well, Mongo, if you do MTL, you will like the K-Fun X. Unless you get a defective one, you will like it. The only deal, in case you didn't watch, go watch my video. I got 2 of them. Got one just for the deal, and I got the clonest clone one there was. I didn't get the SXK version or the other version. I got the real no-name, the supposedly poorest quality one that they had available at the time. But go watch my both videos. And the only deal that they don't tell you, or nobody else tells you, is to, before you refill it, flip it upside down, let it sit there a minute, then close the juice flow. Okay, then flip it back over, open the top, refill it, and you're good to go. And if you don't do that, unless you've got it overwicked, it's going to gurgle and flood a little bit. The Maven, people are raving on that Maven about how good it is. I've heard a lot of people say they really like it. Yeah, but I got 2. I got one that basically it's on the deal, and then I've got an update that tells you about flipping it over to fill it. Because I discovered that later on down the road, and made a little video about it. No, I don't have the Bishop. That one, from what I've seen from, what's his name? Nature Vape. There's a few of them out there that, in his opinion, are a little bit better tanks than the Bishop. And I think even Net Vapor kind of says the same thing. The Bishop's not one of his, not in his top 5, I don't think. But I never did get that. Never got that. Anyhow, on to the. I have a Fev, buddy. I love my Fev. It's a different animal now. It's a different animal. But I hadn't vaped it in a while. But yeah, I love my Fev. A lot of people won't like it, I don't think, but yeah, I love my Fev. It's a different animal, I'll warn you now. Anyhow, what do we got here? Well, there you go, Mongo. Adrian giving you a little insight on that Bishop. I've heard a lot of, some people like them. I don't know that I'd have to look at the deal. It's probably okay. Mongo, I finally give up. My wife, I had her an Amit for years and years. She vaped an Amit. Of course, I'd have to rewick it and, recoil it and all that. And I finally just gave up. And when the Anakin's Glide came out, that one where the top slide deal locks with the drip tip, yeah, we got her one of those, and got her a good, because she does real MTLs, and got her. She likes the 1.6 ohm coils, and we got her on that. Yeah, I could see that, Neil, because I think on that 5 squared one, I think the holes are pretty good size on those. Of course, there's a lot of them, and the whole thing is bigger, so I can see the same issue with it when if you got juice setting in all that and you start compressing that area, some of that juice is going to go back into the tank, and some of it's going to go into your cotton, and you're forcing it. I could see that happening. Yeah, see, that's why, Mongo, that's why I don't have one of those 4K cameras, or even higher now. I got a little cheap camera, so it doesn't show all the old age stuff. Yeah. All righty, Mongo. Hope she does okay, brother. Thanks for dropping by. Yeah, them are big old things, Neil. I've got, which one did I get? I've got one. I don't think it was the 5. Maybe it was just the 5, but it wasn't squared. Maybe I don't remember. There was so many right in that timeline there. But it's got the direct long deck, the bigger deck. I do have one of those. But yeah, there's really quite a few tanks that benefit from flipping them upside down when you close the juice flow, or and whatnot, depending on what the juice flow is. If it's one of those kind that just got the inner shell that just slides over and doesn't force the juice, in either direction, I mean, those are probably okay. You don't have to mess with them. But those K-Funds, the X and these little beanies, when you're closing it off, there's an area that has juice in it, and you're closing that area. So the juice got to go somewhere. It's just, 9th grade science, 7th grade science. Now, to our retro vape of the day. Check this Magombo out here. Is that a Magombo or what? Let's have a vape. Good vape now that I fixed it. And that's what I say. Now that is, if I remember correctly, this is the Kangertech sub tank. Yeah, that old. Yeah. Okay. And it came with an RBA section. And I forget really now what damn coils that thing took originally. I'd have to watch the video. But I was interested in the RBA section because it's got a different RBA section than almost any of the rest of those things got. Let me pop this. Let me change here. Go to that and put that back up. There we go. Anyhow, if y'all, maybe somebody's got one of these on the shelf too. Here's the RBA section. This is the way it came from the factory. Okay. And this was way back in the day. And I don't know what the hell they were thinking, because they called it a sub tank. So you got from the name, you assumed sub ohm. But look at these juice feed holes. Look at that. That's like a pinprick. I mean, come on. You know, and yeah, naturally they didn't, if you put a decent coil in here, they didn't feed for shit. And here's the deck. It's 2-post deck, you know, and these are old. So, you know, they don't, this is before they had the little ears, you know, so you got to wrap the deal. And and it's also pre-air insert, like prehistoric, you know, pre-air insert. So this one is, it's about 1.5. So your air hole under here is like 1.5, but look at this little old pissy juice channel right here. I mean, yeah, this thing didn't flow enough. Now, if you put a little bitty round wire in here, okay, you know, it kept up. But you put a decent coil in here, yeah, this wasn't happening. And back in the day, some people actually tried to grind this out with a Dremel tool and whatnot. I think I even did one. And make this little slot right here bigger. And but that still didn't work too good. So, you know, what did I do? Here's the outer cap. Because these, you know, and I'm going to say it, it's a 2-post deck. All these RBAs, the top is coned. I mean, it's dome shaped. Okay, you can move the coil as high or low as you want it, pretty much, you know, within limitations. But anyhow, if you notice, there's threading on one side and threading on the other side. Well, that little shiny area there, yeah, let's drill a hole. Let's drill a hole. And that's what we did. You can see it. Can you see it? Let's see. Yeah. See that hole? Right there. Drilled one on both sides. Put a pretty good size Clapton in it, and as big as I could get around those post screws. And guess what? Vapes like a dream. Well, Andrew, if you want to, like I say, if you'll drill you a hole, and of course you got to have some, really helps to have a drill press. All you got to do is measure, because this will screw, when it screws on, it goes back the same exact spot every time. So just measure half, take it apart, measure your deal across here. I think it was like 13 millimeters. So I set it at 6.5. Just come up from this hole or down from the top, 6.5, and drill you a hole. Now you do have to have the ability to hold around a cylindrical object in your drill press. It's going to be real hard to do this by hand. I ain't saying it can't be done. It's just going to be hard. And you need the trick is having a starter bit, what they call a starter bit. And I just drilled a hole on each side, and probably about a 2 millimeter, somewhere along in there, 2.5. I didn't measure it, just eyeballed it. I drilled 2 holes through there and wicked it like you normally would wick something like that. And it hadn't flooded, it's kept up, and now I got a good tank, you know. But the trick, you know, then that was pre air insert days. So, you know, and cutting it down at the base, because it's got airflow adjustment, but cutting it here, you know, that's not near as good as the little insert right under the coil. So what I do, I don't even try to cheat it. What I do is I measure it. Okay, it's 1.5, and I build it like I would a tank that I had air inserts for, and I wanted a 1.5 airflow. So I build the coil to fit the airflow, you might say, and it works. It works fine. It works great. You know. Now the only downfall to this one is its bottom fill, but it holds a buttload of juice. Cause you see how big the damn thing is. But I did. So after I done that one, I said, "Hey, hold on. Let me get the chat back up." I said, "Well, memory, I had this thing called a Pro Tank 4 that filled from the top." So I drug it out. And it has the newer Kanger. None of this shit's new, but it had the newer Kanger RBA. Or it wasn't with it. It was in something else. But I dug it up. Okay. And the newer one, let's go back up close. The newer one is similar to this design, okay, and but this one is one of the first versions, and it's still got this little pissy ass juice flow here. So if I want to use this one, I'll have to drill me a couple of holes, just like I did on the other one, and incidentally, just like the one I found that came from the factory, you see that big old juice flow hole there? It's one on each side. Everything else is the same. There's another one. Big old, it's got to be 2.5 or even a 3 maybe. Juice flow hole. And I put a decent sized Clapton in it, and this one, these are new enough in the timeline to where they got ears on the screws to help capture. Of course, you still can't stick no, triple core alien or something like that in there, but you can get a fairly decent Clapton in there. And of course, this one also has, I think it might be what was it? It might be the same, a 1.5. Let's see what the airflow on it is. No, it's bigger. Oh, come back here. Say it's bigger. Measured bigger. There we go. Yeah, see, it's like a 3 millimeter airflow. But it has smaller holes down under here, but it's got 4 of them. But it's got a more airflow than the other one. But there again, if I want to, if I wanted to use this particular one, I'd have to drill me some more, some juice flow holes. But I mean, 2 posts with ears. Hole, no air insert though. That's the only downfall. And it's got a domed top to it, just like everybody else, so it'll work just fine. And I think, was that one? No, I think that one's, let me measure it. I didn't think one that big would go on this side by side. Come on, let go. Yeah, this is 25. That's what this old sub tank is. 25. I didn't know a 25 would go on this. Boy, there ain't much room on this little DigiFlavor thing, ZX, whatever the hell it was. But yeah, it goes on there. Yeah, I think these other ones, these little ones, because this one is like this funky monkey here is like proprietary, I believe, to that sub tank. I don't think it'll fit in. I know it won't fit in some of my minis, but this one here, this little bitty RBA section here, would go in the minis. And let's see, and we'll say hello to Frank. Let me read you your question here, Frank. Well, back in the day, Frank, we used to size coils, and now this is 10 years ago. And it only pertained to tanks and whatnot. It didn't pertain to drippers. But back in them days, you were limited to the space in your tank, or back in the day, we used to rebuild those old Kanger heads, and you were limited to how big a coil you could put in from the because of what you were working with. And now drippers, that was just a personal preference thing. It was just whatever the reviewer wanted to throw in the dripper. That was his personal preference. But nobody, most of the time, bigger's better. Most of the time, unless you're dealing with a dual coil deal. And I've got some old dual coil tanks that I'm perfectly happy putting a 2mm ID coil in because I got two of them. But back in the day, you were limited on size, and nowadays you're really not. So what most people will end up doing is they will kind of what I do is I look at the the size of the area I got to work with, and most of the time I can go 2.5 or 3. I try to go as big as I can go without getting too big, and plus it depends on if you're mouth to lung restricted direct lung or direct lung. It depends. because if you're just going to do mouth along, you can get by good with a 2 millimeter coil. Where if you're trying to do a direct lung with a 2 millimeter coil, it's just not going to work out too good. And there's Dog Days. Hey, buddy, thanks for coming in. But there's a lot of factors. And I always look at, also, I will look at if I've got juice channels to deal with, where my cotton actually goes through it or some of it goes through it, I'll take that into consideration, because I won't go as big. I might back up to a 2.5 millimeter instead of going for the 3 if I've got some small juice channels that my wig has to go into. You know, that's just me. Yeah, Adrian, those, I believe those came with a billet box, and you used the, I think you had to use the Kanger adapter, I think, for it. But if yours doesn't have the side holes, I would recommend drilling some holes in the side if you want to put a decent sized wig. Okay, I see what you're saying, Frank. What size coil are you using mostly on that? I wished I had one. Well, I could use that one. Kind of bad way. It didn't look real nice, though. We could have a little. I guess I could. Let me see. I might could use this one. It's not a good one to use. Okay, so 2.7. That's a good size. That's a good size. That's a good size. Let me see if I've got one here. What about this one? Yeah, my shit. I just got everything re-wigged. I got something up there. So I could show you. I kind of do the same thing you're doing, but I don't know what your priority procedure is. Best way I can try to describe it. What I do first, and I use Muji most of the 99% of the time, if I don't need a piece that's down long. My first priority is fitting the cotton to the coil, and I like mine tight. Okay, not enough to destroy the coil when you're pulling it through, but I want some pretty good resistance there. So I cut, and I do peel the very outside layer, but I mean I just peel as little bit as I can get off that outside layer, just to try to get that skin off of there. I mean, and it's see-through. It's ultra thin. It like disappears if you do like that. But and I cut the width, knowing that once I peel those two outside skins off, it will fit my coil tight. Okay. Then I don't thin my cotton. A lot of people do. If it works for you, great. I don't. I cut mine to fit down into the juice wells. Yeah, that's the reason Frank, that's the reason I use the Muji. It's so much easier, and you can get the exact same width every time, you know, close enough. But that's the reason I really like the Muji. But anyhow, I don't thin mine. I cut it, and I'll usually cut it at an angle. I'll just have to like snip the two little ears off and make it a little pointed, okay, and then put, if I've got a juice a well or a hole that I have to put it in, then just I'll fit it. I'll keep cutting it until I get it fit into that hole with the looseness it needs, but still filling up the hole so it doesn't flood. And somebody mentioned that, let me go back up because this ties in. Yeah, Adrian. Berserker B2. Okay. Try, you may have already figured this out, Adrian, but try leaving it a tail on it that is nowhere near going to fill up your juice channel or hole. But the tail is like a locating thing. It keeps it in the hole. Even though it's going to go, the little tail is going to go through and come out the bottom, but it's so small, it's not causing you any restriction or anything. And then further up the little wick, have it to where it fits your hole. See, but the little bitty tail, there's some of them I have to do that way. Especially, it depends on how you have to put the tank back together. But I'll leave a little tail on there just to help hold the wick in the hole or in the channel while I'm putting it all back together, or even, like you say, while you were refilling. Because I've even, back in the day, if you just like do that dam effect, and then you do the old style, if it's flooded a little, you do the old style flick thing, you probably flick the wicks out of the dam, out of their location, and then it's just going to run out. So yeah, I leave a little tail on it. Usually when I like doing mine in a V, and I'll leave the little just the little tail as a locator, and it just helps keep it in the hole. No way does it hurt with the flow or anything, because it's so, by that time it's so small. Neil, if I ever run out of Muji, which God knows how many years it'll be, I have thought about buying some of that cotton that comes in like a rope type deal, and it's supposedly sized for particular size coils. I hadn't tried any. I heard a lot of people say they like it, but it'll be years before I have to buy any cotton. I did have to drag out when I was doing this limitless thing, because the wicks on it are, if you don't want to have to do the tilt bullshit every time, the wicks on it are so goddamn long, I had to drag out the cotton bacon because the Muji wasn't long enough. if you, Frank, did you watch last week's live? Was it last week I did the wicking thing? I think it was. I did a little demo live last week. Now, do keep in mind, Frank, that the wicking is only one thing that'll cause one to leak. If you get any kind of I call it a vacuum leak, because to me that's what's actually leaking. But if you get any kind of leaking up around the top of your tank, it may not be enough to actually leak out juice. You won't see no juice, but it lets air get in and you lose that little bit of vacuum you got on top of that juice. And in essence, it's just like opening the top and letting it sit there. And that will cause a leak, and you won't notice it because it will not leak juice out. It'll just leak air in most of the time. And that's a very common leaking issue, a problem. Come on, baby. That's me sitting here and getting confused. Let me see if I got a piece laying here. I do. Let me go up close. I'll show you what I cut. For a 2.5 coil. Get on camera here. Now, if I'm going to do a 2.5 coil, I'm going to cut it about right here because I'm going to peel both deals. That's, get my fingers up here. I don't know what I could use to, well, I could actually, yeah, we can kind of measure it. It's about 6.7 millimeters. Okay. Now, one of the little deals I always do, nobody hardly does this. One end, I'll do like that. And that's the end I'm going to twist. Just makes it a little easier. But now, a lot of people will take and drag off a whole bunch of the skin. Even that to me is almost too much. That's almost too much. I try to get less than that if I can. Sometimes you can't. This one's a little bit less. But, and then that's what you're left with. Now that is how much I use for a 2.5 coil, because right now at this stage I'm only interested in fitting it to the coil, and then I'll cut it to fit it to the juice wells or slots or whatever I happen to have in the deal. And normally I'll end up with something like that. Then if I really want to, if it's a real tight fit, what I'll do, instead of trimming anymore from here to here, is I'll trim at about a 45-degree angle from on the bottom, kind of like, getting this, oh, get on camera, kind of like that. Okay. Now I'll do that instead of combing the cotton out. I just don't like doing that. But that's how I'll do it. I'll cut it like that, and then if I need to cut some more off, I'll cut it back that way. And then this part, this is the outside edge. Now some people, like Josh that's on here, he cuts his at an opposite, he cuts his opposite. He leaves his 45. He cuts his 45 up toward the top, and I cut mine underneath. And I don't know that it matters. It's just the way I do it. He seems to have good luck cutting his kind of the opposite way. But and then that'll get tucked in just like that, and that's how I do mine. No, Neil, actually, and I've experimented with this. Uh, the skin will actually wick faster than the center. If you take that skin and dipped it in some juice or water, whatever you want, and had a piece of the center, same thickness and all with it, put it in there, the skin will actually wick faster. Uh, I I just take the skin off because that's a way. It's a good gauge of getting your amount right. It's an easy way if you need to take a little bit off, because I like mine a little wider, you might say. So if I leave the skin on, it's just too thick to get through the coil. If I take the skin off, it fits fine, and I still get the width of the piece that I want to go down in my juice holes. But it's not a matter of it actually wicks better than the center part, and I've actually tried that. Well, Frank, just adjust it. I mean, you just gotta kind of keep playing. Uh, you don't have to peel the skin. Uh, but like I say, I like mine a little wider. Uh, just helps fit the juice channels better. So I cut it a little bit wider, and then peel the skin on both sides, and that usually gets it to fit the coil. And if all else fails, you can go to a 3 millimeter. Well, you're nearly at a 3 millimeter coil to begin with, but you can. I'm thinking you might have a leaking issue other than your cotton, and it's entirely possible. People always just instantly blame the cotton or the wick if they've got a flooding issue. They just instantly blame that. But yeah, if you got just a little bit of a leak up at the top somewhere, and you're losing that vacuum on top of your juice, yeah, it'll pour out the bottom. And that goes for anything. I mean, you can have one with disposable coils. You get a leak up at the top, it pours out the bottom. I think I've got a real real old rose, uh, Josh. I think I had one a long time ago. It was kind of like a dwarf, and similar to that. No, Neil, I never did all that. You know, my hell, my weeks last me because of the juice I use. My weeks last me about one tank, maybe two, on most of my devices, most of my stuff because of the juice and the way I vape. And so yeah, if it was gonna last a week, we might do something different. We might get a little more exotic with the this, that, and the other, and uh, even the type of cotton. But if I remember right, that rose was similar to a dwarf on the build deck. It was way down in there, and it was just straight across post, and I think it had the little things, kind of like a dwarf, that go on top. You kind of build it as you go, type deal. Oh, Neil, I don't. The only juice I get that long out of is this the RY4 Forever. I'll get 3 or 4 days out of the week on it. A lot of the other ones, even you know, 2 tanks max. Well, hell, Josh, that sounds like a good one to go live with, buddy. And Neil, I don't have any, but some people classify this RY4 as a tobacco. I really don't. I don't really classify that as a tobacco, but some people do. I have no regular straight tobacco flavoring that's real, uh, real straight. It's the edge clone. Edge. I don't really remember what the edge looks like, Frank. I don't remember my rose having a peak insulator. I think it was metal, like the first dwarves. Well, uh, not the insulator, but the cup. It was kind of like the first. The one I had, I believe, was kind of like the first dwarves. It was all metal on the chamber things. Let me get a quick look at that. See if I can get a picture right quick. Doo-doo. Thing sounds familiar. Oop. Yeah, I'm over 18. You wouldn't know if I lied to you. That's what the deck looks like. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That one has a, you might, Frank, you might try raising your coil up, and you're going to be able to now on that one, I think you're going to be able to get a lot more cotton in it than you think that you need. And you're going to have to kind of fan it out a little bit and actually, stuff it kind of down in there. But I've seen some people, it was like the one I showed earlier that I drilled the holes out on that RBA deal. I cut that cotton way long and really stuffed it down in there because it didn't really have a juice channel or chamber. It's just got those holes coming through the side. Is what the pictures I'm looking at on this edge are looking like. You got to use a whole lot more cotton on one of those than you would one that has a juice channel that you're putting the cotton into, or a juice, a hole, or a slot. Now these kind here, you can stuff a whole lot of cotton in them. In fact, I think I would, and you can always do the, there's a method that we used to use in the automotive industry, one extreme to the next. If you're flooding, okay, you can creep up on it a little more cotton, a little more cotton, a little more cotton, or you can just go a whole bunch of damn cotton, cut the leads longer and shit, and just roll the fuckers up and stuff them in there. If you get a dry hit, well, it's too much cotton. So you can either go from one extreme to the other and work your way to the middle, or you can work your way up. But now that design is going to take a lot more cotton than, let's say, this Mike Vapes MTL little tank, because it has the holes and you put the cotton down through the holes. That design there is similar to the one I showed earlier, where I drilled out the sides of that RBA section. It's going to take a lot more cotton than what you think, maybe. Yeah, it's going to take, and you might have to, I would might raise the holes, the feed holes in that one looked a little high to me. They looked a little bit higher than normal, you might say. So you might raise your coil up a little bit if you can, if you're one of the types that believes in height makes a difference. But try raising it up a little bit so the cotton will come out more in line with the holes. The holes looked a little high on that. Yeah, I looked at that, Neil. That undertoot didn't do nothing for me. I didn't even understand. I looked at some of the reviews and whatnot, and they were all old, and I was going like, why are you just now coming out with this? I think maybe they're coming out with it because of all the resurgence of the dwarves, but maybe that's why. But I didn't understand why they were coming out with it like it was new. I was confused on that, but I didn't see anything on it that impressed me. Uh, but yeah, Frank. Also, like I say, the 2.7 should be enough. Should be big enough. If not, might bump up to a 3. But like I say, raise. Uh, I would have mine. I would start if I could. If it didn't mess with my flavor or my throat hit too bad, uh, I would take your drill bit you're using, put your little uh, center section, we'll call it, the one with it's got the holes for the juice, and line all that up if you can. Line up the coil with those holes. Give that a try. And then, like I say, just keep stuffing cotton in it till you get a dry hit. Then you know you got too much cotton. Then if it still floods, you got an issue somewhere else. But yeah, I did look at that, Neil, when it popped up on their feed like it was something brand new and shiny and all that kind of stuff. And then I looked at some of the reviews, and they were all years old, and I'm going, what the hell? Coppervape used to make some good clones. I hadn't seen, I think they must have got bought out or something. But the videos I watched just didn't, I wasn't, didn't do much for me. Wasn't that big a deal. But you're definitely going to have to use a fairly good sized coil in there, Frank. The 2 millimeter ain't going to, I don't think it's going to give you enough cotton. You're going to have to actually add some cotton, which, way back in the day, there's been times I've had to do that. Just, whatever cotton was coming through your coil wasn't enough. You had to cut and stuff some more in, you know. But another thing to keep in mind, Neil, this goes back to Neil asking a while ago about the skin, because me and him got into rebuilding sub-ohm coils, mesh, some of sub-ohm coils at one point, and you can use the skin. If you remember, Neil, when you would take a coil apart, some of them, they'd have the cotton that goes around the mesh, and then you'd have like a piece of the body, the metal, okay, and all that went down in there. Then when you took it apart, there was some more cotton around that, and then the total outer shell was on there. Well, that skin works perfect for that outer layer of cotton if you need it. Now, some of them I discovered didn't need it, but some of them it would flood if they didn't have that. But the skin off that Muji works great for that outer layer of cotton. on those sub-ohm coils. How we doing today? Well, how about that? Our internet's working pretty good today. We have 0 drop frames. Well, it ain't been that good in a long time. They must have fixed it pretty good the other day. As we were out the other day, it got to where it would die about midnight, and about 9 o'clock the next morning they'd get it going again. And did that for a couple of days. Yeah, it looks like it's working pretty good. Working extremely good for me anyhow. But 0 drop frames. We finally got our monsoon season out here in the desert. I think I got a total of 20 drops on the hood of my truck so far. Yeah, there have been places it has rained around us, but as far as right here on my property, I got about 20 drops on my hood of my truck the other day. Out here, it's deceiving out here because you can see so far. I mean, you can see 20 miles easy, and you know, a lot of time a thunderstorm pop up. Well, if you were in a different part of the country where you can only see, you know, your horizon's only like a mile or 2 off. Well, you know, the thunderstorm's right there. But, you know, out here, I mean, I can see 20, 25 miles north and south, and a thunderstorm will pop up, say 10 miles away. It'll rain itself out. It doesn't move much. It'll rain itself out and go away. Never even get close to me. So we've had some that you could see, but hadn't got any actual rain on me yet, besides a drop or two. So to make a long story short, I got these 2 modified Kanger tanks now that vape extremely well. And 3 more tanks on the way. Fucking rabbit holes. I swear. And the only shortfall on any of this older stuff that I got is it was before airflow inserts. So that's really the only downfall, you know. And sometimes, you know, if you build it for whatever airflow you have, naturally, we'll say, then it vapes just fine. But, you know, getting either one of these to do a tight MTL, it's just not going to work that good. Of course, they weren't sold as that. They were sold as sub-tanks, sub-ohm tanks. You know, so. But yeah, I got to quit doing that shit. I really do. I leave that old shit up on the shelf. Yeah, that's right, Andrew. There was a, you know, back in the day, there was you know, it's amazing. You know, I would say that's one of the main deals we have improved on was the airflow inserts under the coil. Those were vast improvements, especially for real tight mouth alone. That was a vast improvement over the dinosaur days. Everything else is, I don't think, contributes to the quality of the vape as much as the changeable inserts under the coil. I think that contributes more than anything else. If you're going MTL. Because it's just like either one of these now. If you had a modern day, especially since I fixed the juice flow, if you had a modern day tank with a 1.5 airflow insert, okay, this is probably going to vape just about as good as that modern day one. Let's see, was there anything else I wanted to talk about today? I ain't even gonna go there. We'll leave them alone. I was gonna harass a particular person about taking a vacation to a foreign country that does not allow vaping. I think if I was going on vacation to a foreign country and giving them lots of my tourist dollars, I believe I'd pick one that allowed vaping and maybe even promoted vaping. That's just me, That's just me. Not that I'd ever go to a foreign country to begin with, but, if I did. You need a new Boro mod. Yeah. Neil, when it comes to the Boro stuff right now, the 6 foot 2 before I got strapped to my ass. Well, I got this 12-foot one over here for Boro stuff. If I start thinking about Boro stuff, I strap that 12-foot one on. Keep me out of that rabbit hole. All right, Adrian. Thanks for coming by, brother. We're not going to be here too much longer anyhow. We done rattled on quite a bit. Hey, Neil, I was going to give you the opportunity to convince me to buy one of those K-Fun RBAs today, but it doesn't seem to fit your criteria. And I understand now. I was going to give you the opportunity to try to sway me into buying one of those, because I would think it would have to work pretty good. It's a K-Fun deck. It would have to work pretty good. The only time I really even used, or specifically used, my billet box was at the casino, when we used to go to the casinos all the time, because the battery would last me all day, no problem, and a tank of juice would last me probably half a day you know, so the most I'd have to take with me uh, would be the juice, and I could leave that in the vehicle, in the truck, and just, you know, go take a break and walk out to the truck, you know, uh, in about 4 or 5 hours and refill the tank. Uh, and the battery would last me all day. But that was, and it was compact enough. I could set it there, set it beside me, and it wouldn't draw too much attention because people didn't really know what the hell it was. It was just a little black box, and you know, it was pocketable. Uh, but that was the only specific uh, time I chose uh, the billet box to leave the house with, you know, or to vape at all, really. Well, Frank, it's a rabbit hole. It's a hell of a rabbit hole now. It used to not be too bad because you had, you know, back in the day, you had a billet box, a real one, a real billet box or a clone, okay, and then everybody started making some RBAs, and this was way back in the day for this new wave of RBAs, you know, but you could usually always get a clone of a good one, and they were good. They worked great, you know, but they never did really do real direct lawn back in the day. Some of them do now. If you get like you know, they got mesh tanks and shit for them now, you know. So used to, you really couldn't do a real airy deal simply because of the RBAs wasn't designed for it. But it's a rabbit hole. Yeah, Neil. Usually, if they'll go to, if I can get a 2 millimeter, is usually my max. I'm happy with 2 or below, but uh, not too tight. I don't do the .8 stuff or any of that, but usually about a 2, usually a 1.5, and or 2 fits me pretty good. 2 is about as high as I need to go. Yeah, yeah, that ain't gonna happen, Frank. I mean, you can buy just one bridge. Uh, yeah. Just get you some, but you know, just get the clones. Don't you know? Don't spend $200 on a little bridge. That ain't. Yeah, I ain't seen one worth it yet. And like I say, you know, look at them. You know, unless they're, you know, most of them, especially in the industry, like I say, wanting $100 or more for them. You know, look, really take a close look at it, and uh, especially the ones, some of them that don't even have the damn airflow pins. You know, it's a 2-post deck with a domed chamber and a chimney, and that's all it is. You know, and this one is, if you break it down to those basics, you know, this one here is identical to this one here, you know, which is identical to this one here. And it's like, you know, there's only so much you can stuff in their defense. You know, there's only so much you can do in that limited area that you got to stuff the those bridges into. So that there's only so much you can do there. So they're really limited. Uh, you know. Well, now see, I can even deal. I can deal better with a $200 tank, which comes with lots of extras, than a $200 bridge. I can deal with the $200 tank a whole lot easier. I mean, even though I still wouldn't buy it, but I can deal with that easier than I can a damn $200 RBA. I just don't. Yeah, it's like, come on now. And then, and then you see the clone that comes out, and it's identical, and it's $18. Losing track here. There was something else I wanted to talk about. What was it? It flashed through my mind a minute ago, and then we got off topic. What was it? Maybe it'll come back to me. I should write notes. I should make notes. I used to. And I just started winging it. Of course, now, Frank, you can get, if you just want to dip your toe in the water on the Boro stuff, you can get one of those pulses, and or you can get there's that new one out now, Kuka, something like that. It's supposed to be real cheap. It's plastic, and the pulses too. I bet you can get one of those pulses that gives you a whole bunch of stuff in the box, and it's under $100. You can dip your toe in the Boro world, for under $100, and give it a try. I mean, I used my pulse, the old original one that ended up cracking everywhere, but the door didn't crack. The magnets fell out of the damn things, but the doors didn't crack. I ended up using it with the replaceable throwaway coils, the little tank. It came, one of the little tanks that come with had used replaceable coils, and I ended up vaping it for a long time, mostly all of its life, with just the little replaceable coils. But they've got some out there and they've made improvements on that pulse. It's 0.5 now, is what they call it. Only trouble is that when they went to the 0.5, they fixed all the supposedly cracking problems, but they kind of screwed you on what you got in the box after that. You could get the basic version or the advanced version, and when it first came out, it just came out with everything in the box at once. And it was a pretty good, nice bargain if the damn thing hadn't cracked all the hell and back. But the 0.5 now, you got to, it's a little bit more if you want everything that you got the first time around, but it's still, even I think even the deluxe version or whatever is still either 100 or right or under 100. So you can dip your toe in for $100 which is pretty good if you're getting everything but a battery. I mean, you got everything. You get everything to vape except a battery. Now, you might say that, Josh. That might be true. Might be true. Uh, I personally think they're just uh, money hungry myself. I didn't buy one. Neil wants some company. He wants some company. He's down that rabbit hole all by himself, and he wants some company. Josh, are you still getting on good with the RY4 Forever flavor? What? Let me write this down. I don't know. Just because I like to know. You say you were from Scotland, Frank. Is that right? Been steeping. I really can't tell on mine a difference. Of course, I go through quite a bit of it. Uh, it never, I don't know that it ever gets 2 weeks old, or I don't mix. I had to mix a bigger bottle or two bottles for it to, I believe, for it to ever get 2 weeks old. But uh, with the time I'm vaping it in, I can't tell any difference. Uh, uh, with it steeping. That's my main juice when I'm drinking coffee. I try to really limit myself to only vape it when I'm drinking coffee. It pairs up great, and it's such a good flavor. I don't want to get burnt out on it, so I limit myself to only vaping it when I drink coffee, while I'm drinking coffee. It's like my other deal in uh, my pod. I only vape it in that pod basically when I go to town or something, so I don't get burnt. I don't want to get burnt out on that flavor. It's a really, really good flavor. I don't want to get burnt on it. Yeah, I would recommend that, Frank, because I've heard people claim uh, that those don't have the as bad an issue with condensation and leaking. I've heard people claim that. I don't have one to testify with, but uh, the one of the issues I had with the billet box stuff, and it didn't matter what tank, what coil, what RBA, yeah, I used it. When you put, if you vaped it for let's say a week, you pulled the tank out, the back would be dripping with juice. And that was one of the issues I had. And Neil's right. You can get that. You can get that Unitank, and or the what's the name of it? There's another one uh, that I was thinking about getting, and the price never came down decent. Uh, I think either Adrian or Andrew has one. I think it was Adrian. I forget the damn name of it, but it's one of the tanks, and it comes with an RBA that can be used in the tank or the burrow, and then you're supposed to be able to put some Boro RBAs in the tank. I forget the name of it. I was thinking about getting one, and the price never came down. Nobody ever cloned it. It was just a tad out of my range. I forget the name of it though, but I believe I think it's Andrew has one of them. Either him or not Andrew, but Adrian. I think Adrian has one. Havoc. That's it. The Havoc tank, I guess we call it. I was going to get one of those. I was leaning toward it, and it was always just a tad out of my price range. See, that was one of the deals. I actually should buy one just to test. I was wondering if you took the RBAs from the Boros and you put them in something like that Unitank or that Havoc and put it on a mod, a normal mod, if it would leak shit out of the air hole. I was curious to that. Uh, to see if that would happen. I was I was I was curious about that. I wondered if you would get the same amount that you were getting with it, all enclosed in the box, as opposed to being, out sitting out. But some people claim that those ones now that are, they got open all the way around almost, the mods, claim they don't. But I don't have one to say yay or nay. I always just found it peculiar. I don't get that on any tank I own. Now I definitely wouldn't expect it on the ones that have top airflow, but I get no seepage, no leaking, no condensate, whatever you want to call it. Nothing comes out of the air hole. There's NorCal. How you doing, buddy? Thanks for dropping by. We're just about to wrap this up. You got to start getting home earlier, man. All right, Josh. Thanks for coming by, brother. Oh, I know I did want to say one little thing, and y'all might think I'm mean. Uh, Vindictive. I don't know what other words we could throw in there. A couple of things, actually. You know, the the people, the press and whatnot, some of the people are starting to turn on poor old Biden. Sometimes I feel sorry for him. I really do. The other day, after the wildfires in Maui or Hawaii, I'd rather say Hawaii than Maui. Uh, the president, he's trying to ride his bicycle. I mean, come on. He's old. His mind doesn't function too well. I'm sure it's taken every brain cell that's still firing for him to stay on that damn bicycle. It's probably more muscle memory than it is conscious thought, you know. So he's doing his damnedest to stay on this bicycle. And this reporter asked him about the wildfires. Well, he ain't got no script in front of him. They probably ain't told him what to say about it yet. And if they did, he's probably forgotten, and it's taken every bit of concentration he's got to stay on this goddamn bicycle. And they harassed, they talked bad about him afterward because, he didn't have just a snap to response. Come on. Now I don't like him at all, but I do feel sorry for him in situations like that. And it was just, to me, it was funny. Yeah, Frank, it's a rabbit hole, brother. If you're a collector, you can go down that rabbit hole. But hey, you know, nothing wrong. It's no different than collecting other stuff. You know, nothing wrong with it. But think about this. I haven't heard. I don't keep up. I don't. I'm not glued to the damn TV screen on the piss poor news channels we have nowadays. But what if I hadn't heard, or even if they even know what started the fire? I don't know that we'll ever know the truth. Which usually that's something like that. They don't ever tell you the truth unless it leaks out. It's the only way you never know. What if Hawaii, Democrat state, hard on vaping, got pretty good control over it too because everything has to be imported, so they can lock it down easier than other places, and uh, what? So they're against vaping, been hard on it. I think they got a flavor ban, this, that, and another. What if this fire started because somebody had switched to vaping, then it got too much trouble or too expensive to continue to vape because of all the regulations and bullshit that the good old governor slapped on them. And they went back to smoking. And they're riding down the road, smoking their cigarette. Like, we all used to. Yeah. Flip it out the window into some dry brush. What if that's how it happened? Now, I'm not saying it's karma. And I'm not saying it's, what would be the other word? I don't know. We'll let that go. But I'm not saying that. But just what if? What if? That's how that wildfire got going. Because I know for a fact a lot of the wildfires uh, that they have in the states where they don't do proper forest management, and they have evergreen trees that burn like you throw gas on them to begin with. A lot of those start people flicking cigarettes out the window of cars. Some of them start because the idiots don't know how to build a campfire, or tend the campfire, or put the damn campfire out when they leave. But, a lot of them start there. A lot of them start on lightning strikes. Nothing you can do about that. But some start from people flipping their cigarette out of the car. Yeah, they probably would, Neil. They'd come up with a way. Oh yeah, this disposable short circuited and exploded, and that's what caused the fire. They just ain't thought about that yet. Give them a minute. Give them a minute. They'll blame it on vaping. I didn't watch any of it, Norcal. I mean, I saw just thumbnails. That's it. I hadn't followed any of it. Because there's, where you live there. Well, I think you live a little bit north. Not too bad, but they have hellacious wildfires out in California too. In fact, I have a friend that wanted to buy a newer house the other day. It's one of those several $1 million houses, and he gets his insurance from my wife. House insurance, car insurance, all that. He does all his insurance stuff with my wife. And anyhow, he wanted her to see about this new, getting him insurance on this new house if he bought it. And she tried, and it was in a red zone, fire zone, or whatever. And their company refused. They won't insure houses in that if it's in that zone. We used to have grass fires in Texas, and they weren't wildfires because most of the trees, in the area I lived in, Central Texas, there most of the trees were what they call post oak trees, and they wouldn't burn for shit unless they were dead and been dead for a year or two. Then maybe they'd burn, but a green tree wasn't going to burn. You couldn't light it on fire if you tried, but the grass, would get, especially if it was knee-high grass, dried out, it would catch fire and burn. And when I was real young, I was in the volunteer fire department. That's all we had in the little town I was in, and we'd have to go put them out. But yeah, Neil, there's just the other day, the company my wife works for, and there are several other companies, insurance companies, that they're starting to actually pull out of certain states. And if you've already got a policy with them, okay, you're good to go. But they are not writing new policies in certain states. And I believe on her company, California and Nevada are both states they're not writing policies in anymore. and there's a few other states that they're basically, they call it pulling out of, but you know they'll, if you've got a policy with them, they'll stay with you and honor it and everything, but they're not writing new policies in certain states. Much less whether it's in a, like in California's deal, whether it's in a fire zone or not. They're just, if it's in if it's in the state, nope, we're out of here. See ya. Go woke, go broke. See ya. Anyhow, we used to have to go fight the grass fires, and it was kind of fun, depending on who went. But I had a friend, high school friend, and we were both in as a fishing buddy, and they had a old World War II. I don't know if it's World War II or not, but it was an old Army Jeep. It was like a 1.5 ton, big Army Jeep. Okay, 4-wheel drive, all that bullshit, and it had a pump, had a tank in the back. I forget how many gallons it held. Had a little pump on it. Okay, and I would get on the back of it, and I'd wrap my arm around the bar that went across, so I didn't get flung off, and then hold the hose. Okay, and a friend of mine would drive, and there were times that I was just like flapping in the wind like a flag. Because it didn't matter. Fence, barbed wire fence, gully, creek, the damn Jeep would go through it. And if we needed to go through it to get to the fire or to follow the fire, yeah, we was going through it. So I'd be on the back hanging on for dear life, squirting the water, and he'd be driving. It was kind of fun. We always got the fire out. I mean, it wasn't no question. If he was driving and I was on the back of the truck, fire was going to get put out. But like I said, it was just a grass fire. It wasn't a forest fire. I mean, we wouldn't have been able to do shit with a forest fire. But we didn't have trees that had that problem. Most trouble we ever had was in the fall when all the grass had died and dried up. Is we'd get a train would come through that had a bad bearing or something going out on one of the cars, and it would be throwing sparks. Well, you would have 10, 12 grass fires. Ever so often along that train track, the grass would catch fire and off into somebody's field it would go. And of course, depending on which way the wind's blowing, but you'd have to go put out 15 fires at one time, and the train didn't stop. It just kept on going. So the next county, well, they had the same problem we had, Yeah, they mowed the grass along the highway in Texas. And once it dried up, it still caught fire. I mean, and that's where you would see the cigarette butt thing would be on the side of the highway. You would see lots of little spots. It would just catch fire for no good reason, nothing there. You guarantee it was somebody flicked their cigarette butt out, caught it on fire. Yeah, they wasn't going to waste they mowed it. They paid people to mow the deal with brush hogs and shredders, but yeah, they never did spray no chemicals in where we were at. They would just pay people to mow it. What I did when I moved out here, there's really no grass to speak of, but we have these little, the local people call them grease bushes. I really don't know the real name for them, but it's just a little small bush, but it's an evergreen and it'll burn any time of the year. And I just cleared them. I've got probably, I don't know how many hundreds of feet around my house that is just, it's clear. And I left a few of the yucca plants growing because they're not really a threat, And I got one mesquite tree out front. But otherwise, I just cleared it off. So, if they have what's called a brush fire, or I call it more of a grass fire than a brush fire, but because these bushes don't never get very high, come through, it's just going to, go around my property, keep on going. See you later. So, and those type of fires don't really generate the embers and the stuff that would let it jump that far, and actually catch my house on fire. Because the time it travels that distance, it's burned itself out. These what little bitty embers this stuff causes, it just wouldn't be a thing. It has a hard time. It has a real hard time just jumping a dirt road out here. A lot of times if one gets started, it gets to a street or a dirt road, it can't get across it. And if it does, it's just one little spot, one little section. It's not, a wall of flame or anything like the real fires have. Just not that big a deal. Well, guys, I think we're going to wrap it up. We've done covered just about everything in the world. We're back around to ground zero. NorCal, we had a little bit of retro vaping earlier in the show. And it's really retro. You want to go back and kind of catch some of it. Hell, it might. I don't know how long you've been vaping. It might have been before your time. But anyhow, I think we're going to wrap everything up. Thanks everybody for coming in chat, participating in the chat. Thanks for just watching. If you were just watching, that's fine. There's lots of shows I watch, and I don't get involved in chat. Some of them I do, some of them I don't. And thanks for watching the replay. And if you're watching the replay and you got a comment, please post it. I treat them just like I would a comment on my videos. In fact, I had one the other day, and I had to try to figure out how to do it because I've never really done it a lot. But I've got it synced to where this show will pop up on Rumble automatically. I don't have to do anything. And somebody over on Rumble posted a comment, and I answered them best I could. I've gotten very few comments over on Rumble because I don't have that many viewers over there. But somebody had seen the show and posted a comment. So even if you're watching on Rumble, go ahead and post the comment. And it takes a little longer for me to get it, to know it's there than YouTube. But I will answer you if I can, or help you best I can. So anyhow, have a good rest of your day, a good night, a good morning. Depends on where you're from, where you're watching from. And I see no reason at this point in time to have that we can't have a show next week. So Same bat time, same bat channel. Thanks for coming. We'll see you later.